Well, Ryan Shorthouse is a political commentator and founder of the Bright Blue Liberal Conservative think tank. Ryan joins me now. Morning to you.
Good morning.
Good to get you on the line. Well, goodness, yesterday was absolutely exhausting, wasn't it? That was just for us looking in. So much drama. But in the end, Rishi Sunak did swerve outright embarrassment and danger, didn't he? But how damaged do you think the episode to date has left him?
Well, I think Number 10 will be very relieved with the result because there were only 29 abstentions in principle. That is, abstentions that were done because they didn't like the bill. And that was a much smaller scale than what was being touted by some of the kind of what they call five families on the Tory right. And equally, a day before, the One Nation caucus, who are more on the left of the Tory party, were threatening to oppose the bill. But in the end, were persuaded by Victoria Atkins, who's Victoria Prentice, who's the Attorney General and also a member of the One Nation group, that it did, the bill just about fell within international law. So both wings, in the end of the day, actually, the scale of rebellion was quite small. And it went through. So I think the government were very happy with it. But unfortunately, there's so much political capital that's been expended into this and so much noise around it that basically a policy that was something that came up in Boris Johnson's government is now been inherited by Rishi and is seen as totemic of his government. And I'm afraid that will be bad because at the end of the day, we know from the original Rwanda asylum agreement, only about 200 a year at the moment will be taken by Rwanda. And we know last year, for example, there was about 40,000 asylum seekers crossing the channel. So there's a very small percentage of those people crossing the channel who will actually go to Rwanda. So considering your probability is less than 0.5% of going to Rwanda, I don't see it being a massive deterrent. So the government has expended a huge amount of fiscal resource and a huge amount of political attention on a scheme where there's very little evidence that it will be effective as a deterrent.
Yeah, indeed. And that reflected again across the front pages this morning for The Guardian. It's Sunak avoids major rebellion over Rwanda deportation bill for now. For The Times, Sunak survives Rwanda revolt, but it's not over yet. For The Telegraph, it's Sunak faces down Rwanda rebels. Well, PMQ's, of course, looming large from noon today. Do you think the issue will come up again?
Well, it certainly will do. And the people on the MPs on the right of the party are saying that it needs to be strengthened. And to be honest, I find it amazing that there's a sort of feeling that it needs to be strengthened, that all asylum seekers basically should be deprived of any right to legal redress to challenge their deportation to Rwanda. I find it odd that Conservatives would support that because it's a kind of chilling subordination of personal liberty. I think most Conservatives would agree that, if you strongly feel that you have some wrongdoing against you, that you should have the right to go to court, to the right to legal access, to be able to challenge that against an overbearing state. And what some on the Tory right are proposing is that any legal redress should be completely deprived of people crossing the channel. So I find that odd. To be honest, I find it odd that we're not allowing asylum seekers to have due process, but instead saying we'll deport you to Rwanda, and then they'll decide if they keep you or not through their asylum scheme. But what is now being proposed by the Tory right, I think, is just way further than is possible under international law. And the second thing is there's an assumption that everybody crossing the channel has no right to be here. They say it's a safe country, France, and therefore everybody crossing the channel should just be deprived of any legal rights. And I think that's a wrong assumption because we know that some people come without choice because some of them are trafficked, some of them are children, for example. Some of them may be trying to be reunited with family members in the UK. At the end of the day, not every safe country, can take all asylum seekers. We have to take our fair share. So I think it's wrong, the assumption behind some of these amendments that will come in the third reading from the Tory right. The assumption is that every asylum seeker is not worthy of seeking asylum and shouldn't have access to legal rights. I think that assumption is wrong, and it's quite extreme what they're calling for.
Good to get your assessment this morning, Ryan. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Ryan Shorthouse there, political commentator and founder of the Bright Blue Liberal Conservative think tank.